Hero versus Demon Lord. Now that is something many people wish to see a lot, as there aren't really many of these actually made, but those that have this trope are super exciting. Heroes can either be summoned from another world, or they might already exist in that world and are most likely summoned by the rulers of the kingdom. So which is why today we're going through 10 underestimated but overpowered anime heroes. So if you're new around here, then please make sure that you subscribe to the channel with the notifications bell icon turned on to stay up to date with the latest anime news and recommendations right at your doorstep. Now, without keeping you all waiting, let us begin with this video. Starting this list off with the Faraway Paladin, created by Children's Playground in 2021, and to be honest, in any isekai anime, two things are extremely important, and that is world building and main story, who are, basically the main characters. But even if we have only one of them, it still makes it to be a good isekai anime. A great isekai anime must have both, however, and yes, the Faraway Paladin is leaning towards the latter through a very clever writing gimmick, though, there is not much to say about the main character and uninteresting for the most part. However, the story still remains very engaging. The goal of the main character is interesting because of the circumstances that lead to it. This time, the main character has the responsibility and burden to carry out his duty for the sake of his parents, which adds a certain depth to the story and also makes us want to see, it through all till success, if the main character makes it or not. It's also getting a second season next year, which I'm very much looking forward to. Next up on the list is Mao Mao Yusha, which is set in a time period of gruesome wars to political corruptions. This anime represents a fantasy world where humans and devils are fighting for the ultimate authority, while exploring the infrastructures in the war. Studio Arms created this in 2013, and while that studio heavily specializes in high amounts of ecchi, thankfully this anime only has a few, but they are rather pretty damn good. It's an interesting story of a hero sent to defeat the Demon Lord, but that hero is in it for a surprise to when he discovers that the Demon Lord is a very kind and gentle person upon getting to know her, while others in the outside world heard rumors of how evil the Demon Lord truly is. Pretty much the hero must prove to everyone that she's not a bad person, but that is a big challenge the hero must face, which is the exciting part of the story. You ever wanted to be a hero, save the world, do everything right in order to protect the country or the kingdom, only to be outcasted, making all your efforts mean nothing? Well, that's the case here when it comes to the anime I'm Quitting Heroing. Created by Studio EMT Squared in 2021, this is a very entertaining fantasy series of a hero who wishes to join the Demon Lord's army. In simple terms, he wants to join the villains. That on its own is the ultimate reason why I watched this entire anime. It got me hooked from the very first few moments. Normally, however, with these kinds of shows, you're at the start of the journey, while in here, it almost feels like we're at the extra DLC part. Great characters from the Demon Lord's subordinates to the hero trying his best to join the army and rebuild what he destroyed when he was saving the world. It's a journey I wish many of you to experience if you choose to watch this anime. So what would a hero do when he's faced with a three-headed demon dog? What would he do when he comes across aggressive dragons? Well, in this show, the protagonist Genzo would rather tickle the hell out of that demon beast to tame them rather than use his fist to kill them. He loves demon beasts, whether they are demi-humans, orcs, or, just anything else. Equally and unconditionally, he loves them all. Major warning though, it can get kind of disturbing when he is sniffing them. Just a heads up, as well as, do the German suplex on some of the female characters exposing their undeeds to the world. This is actually written by Natsume Akatsuki, the author of the hugely popular anime Konosuba, and the anime was created by Studio NG in the year 2019. It's an interesting premise, really, or a reseller of summoned as a hero to another world, told to defeat the demon lord, but instead he wants to open his very own pet shop by taming wild beasts that he encounters. This one here is probably one of the most impressive isekai anime I've watched. It may not be original, but it's super enjoyable to watch. The goddess Rista summoned a hero with high stats, but the only downside about him is that he is overly cautious. Now what I mean by that is that no matter what enemy he faces, big or small, he will always be cautious when fighting. He won't even hesitate to dish out super powerful destructive magic spells on, weak slimes that take like a hit or two to beat. Seiya, the protagonist, goes crazy sometimes, but that is what I absolutely love about him. He is so unpredictable on when it comes during the fights. But when he is, perfectly prepared, well, that is when things get super exciting because he is an extremely powerful hero. I give it props to White Fox for animating this show. They did a great job because this is, without question, one of the best isekai for you to watch.
Can we just skip past the tests?
You can't blame me, can you? I like to know what I'm up against.
Ufotable always comes out as a studio that produces the highest quality animation of any other studio in the anime industry, and with the case of the anime Tales of Zestria in 2016, you can clearly see why. The series is based off of the video game of the franchise, although it has had its own set of principles. Early impressions of the show establishes a setup as we meet the main protagonists, Alicia, Sorey, and Mikleo. From the setting, there are many conflicts, mostly those that revolve around the supernatural and also the unnatural phenomenons. In addition, the story indulges with its fantasy setting and deep history. Of course, there's world building that has its importance. The show seems to hit the right spots from the beginning and able to stretch its story all the way through as we learn just why the world of Zestria is so interesting. Michi is a very messy anime, yet it works, it's funny, and it's enjoyable, and it has good twists on the tropes in it, and relatable characters as well. It's actually pretty damn good. The only complaint, however, some would have is the possessive harem trope, which they are most likely aren't fans of, but that's not really a big, huge problem given all of the good parts about it. The premise sounds interesting, and although it's not really something new, since it's more like a mashup of tropes with occasional twists, it isn't really boring at all, and it actually lives up to the expectations. What I really appreciate in this anime is the good comedy, the good story, the good use of mainstream elements, and interesting characters that truly make this anime so worth your time. Let me start off by saying that Chain Chronicles' story is very simple and philosophically deep, but lacking at the same time. That's probably the only weak point of the show for me, at the very least. I really do wish they do more on the story department, but given the source material, there really wasn't much to work with.
If it's true what you say, that it's my fault you ended up like this, I'll be the one to end you.
The story is not about good versus bad as many people mistaken this to be. It's about hope versus despair, which is similar but not exactly the same, and that's the key point that this show has taken my heart. Of course, this is a mobile game adaptation, and as many of us probably know, those kinds of adaptations usually aren't good or most likely end up in a disaster, but in the case of Chain Chronicles, it didn't really follow that path, and was actually a fairly decent series to watch. Can't say for sure what convinced me to stick with Grancrest Senki until the end, but it became a surprisingly good JRPG action-adventure series in my opinion. Record of Grancrest War is in my opinion a shining example of how a story can be brought to life remarkably with a talented director, the director Shinichi Omata, who previously perfected his craft with, a series called Showa and Genroku Era Lovers Suicide Through Rakugo, and that anime is a hidden masterpiece that is a story about life. However, I'll save that talk for another time. Grancrest Senki's story premise is relatively simple. Chaos spreads throughout the world, and only lords with the power of crests can stop it. Rather than focusing their efforts to stop the chaos, the lords choose to fight and take another person's crest, because having the power to purify the chaos means control over everyone in the continent who needs protecting. Now finally, to end this list off, I'm recommending to all of you is Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai, a series that will remain in my heart for a long time as one of the best stories I've ever had the chance to experience. The Adventure of Dai was a story of a young boy starting from nothing in order to become the hero who saves the world, along with a cast of really memorable characters. A journey of 100 episodes that started in 2020 by Toei Animation had just recently ended a few days ago by the time I'm recording this video. This is a story of a hero who wants to save the world and defeat the Dark King who wishes to destroy. Dai's companions are absolutely essential part of the story, not just for comic relief or the occasional banter, but for actually defeating enemies and helping Dai out on his journey, as teamwork is heavily inspired in this anime. You just made it to the end of the video and witnessed 10 underestimated but overpowered anime heroes. If I've managed to leave any anime out in particular that I thought would be a great addition on the list, then please let me know in the comment section down below, as I'd love to hear your very new opinion, or just comment down below what you thought about the video in general, as I'd always appreciate the feedback. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one.